Welcome to the episode 20. Welcome, everyone.
Welcome indeed.
Welcome. We always like to welcome you in because, well, we're just that kind of podcast. We're nice people.
We are.
Aren't we?
You know what? We're very kind people.
I think we're very kind people. And you know you're kind people when the person says they're kind as well, don't you?
Yeah. When someone's like, I'm this, and they, it's a really positive thing about themselves, it must be the truth.
Yeah, it's true. It's something you can trust and believe. And I believe it. I believe it about you. And I already know you believe it about me because I know it about me.
Absolutely.
There we go. So you've come to a podcast that are good people and you can have a good time. And also about this podcast episode, we thought we'd try something that is either really silly or going to be fantastic. Shelby's always moaning to me about not planning too much for a podcast episode. I'm always the over planner, as you'll know if you listen to the other episodes. And I'm always, got to know the structure, need to know if it's a guest, need to know all the questions, need to know the subject, the focus, etc., etc. So what I've done for this one is I've actually planned nothing. And maybe that's a step too far. Maybe it needs to be in the middle. I don't know. But hey, we're going to give it a go. And I honestly don't know what we're going to talk about.
Well, interestingly, I think that we've chosen to do this at the correct time because we've had 3 weeks. I know we've seen each other since you got back, but we had 3 weeks apart. And this is the first time recording an episode since we've reunited.
That's
so I
true.
think if any episode is going to be us winging it and just having conversations and catching up, I think that this is the episode to do it.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And even though we have connected, we're back together, it's only been the last few days. So I got back Monday, so we're recording this on a Saturday. I got back Monday. We saw each other, I think, on the Monday. Yes, on the Monday, and for a couple of days. But we're working in the week, so it's it's not full time together. It's the odd night here and there, which is always a struggle, isn't it? And that's always a thing with us, because I've always worked remote. I've worked remotely for most of my life, and to be fair, you do now for the most part of you. But we're quite different in our schedules. So there's no need for there to be different in their schedules because, again, we both work remotely, but it's very flexible. We can make our days work to our calendars. But I've always, in work and probably just in life since school, always just been a night owl. Even though I've enjoyed when I've got up early in the early hours and, gotten up and got the day, I've always felt great about it. But I've always fallen back into the night owl status. And because of that, even when I work remotely, I still, I start a little later, but I will work later. I still do the hours, just, so I finish more between 8 and 10 p.m., where Shelby prefers to finish more 6 p.m. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I guess I would have thought that's a common challenge within relationships. I think more now because people work remotely. Because, of course, that problem wouldn't have existed a minute ago because people don't work remotely. They'd come back from their office. And, who's working when they come back from their office? Okay, the odd day you're going to do it. But I think you're a lot less inclined to do it. It's very easy to detach yourself when you come back home from the office. Especially if you have a drive in between there or a train, you go through that, and you get home, you're like, no, I'm home now. My family's here. My partner's here. I think it's quite easy to do that. So it's, as much as there's been good to it, I actually think there's an interesting challenge that maybe needs to be discussed.
Yeah, I think you've raised a very interesting point. Because as Scott has already mentioned, I'm not an early bird by any stretch. I'm much more creative on an evening, and I like to do my personal projects on an evening. So uploading my posts to Instagram or editing the podcast, for example. Those are things that I like to do on an evening, those creative tasks. But in terms of my work day, I like to very much get that done, in what I would class as a normal time. But that's very open to interpretation, isn't it? 9 to 5 is only the standard because that's like, for whatever reason, people decided let's work 9 until 5. I actually always, when I worked in retail, my favourite shift was 11 till 7. Because it's kind of like you're not having to be up too early, but you're also done at a reasonable time. So those hours I felt worked well for me, and maybe I'll, revisit that now, because I feel like when you work late and then I'm up early, I think that leads to some agitation on my part, because I'm like, let's go to bed now, and you're like, well, I'm still working, and I just want to chill and relax. And that's, it's not fair on either side, because like, I can't just say to you, well, get on my time zone, or you can't say to me, get on my time zone. But maybe if I compromise a little bit and do an 11-7, then I'm not waiting around on an evening, and I'm also not stressing about being up super early. So maybe I'll look at that for our future travels. Maybe that'll be my work pattern, 11-7. And if you can meet me in the middle and do the same, that'd be great.
11-7, yeah. No, 11-7, that's more than reasonable. I mean, I usually start between sort of 10 and 12, so yeah, it's a hard one for me, because like hearing you say that, it's very appreciative that you're willing to do that to make it more smooth. But at the same time, even though I don't want to accept it, I feel in the back of my head, I sort of feel like the responsibility is mine, because I think the argument would always go stronger for starting earlier in the day and, having the night to yourself. Mm-hmm. But the way I've just always got into the cycle of this, and I'm comfortable with it. Like, I like to take it slow in the morning. I like to get my exercise done in the morning. And because I am an ultra marathon runner, I run, for a long time. I'm not doing like a 5K. I'm not out for 30 minutes, I'm usually out for minimum sort of an hour, 2, even 3 hours sometimes on a day. So it takes up quite a bit of your morning. And again, you could always argue, well, get up early, of course. But I've never been one to love that. So but I have tried. I haven't not tried. I've just sort of accepted it. There's many methods I've tried to break it. I mean, they always said to me in school, don't worry, that gets broken out of you in school, because you have to go to school and early. I'll go, great, that'll sound. I'll love the mornings. Never changed a bit. I hated getting up. Barely got a bus. And it's funny because James, you've met him. We went to the Christmas party last Christmas. It was lovely. Got to catch up with some his mum and dad and his brothers, and he was on the other side of the like 2 streets down from me, and he would come knock on for me every morning, and there was never one morning I was ready. He was always waiting there, and bless him, he was so patient. He didn't get, he was super patient, and the bus isn't far. It wasn't like a 20-minute walk. It was like outside. You just went out of our estate and you would turn left and you were there. It was like a 5-minute walk. But bless him, we would just stand in our front door for like 10 minutes every morning, and he would never moan, never complain. And if I was too late to go, I'm probably going to go, Scott. I go, yeah, fair enough. And then he would go, and then I would either miss it or just get it at the skin of my teeth. But it never changed. It never did. Well, I do have other ones, but I want to hear you. Like, what's your relationship with the mornings?
Well, I also don't like mornings at all. Like, I've never been a morning person. That has definitely improved through teaching, because I just have to be. I'm going to be up at like 6. In fact, at one point in the summer, I get up at 5:30. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just reflecting on what you said about James coming to get you, and then I just feel bad because like it's not your. Like society says, right? This is what time school starts. This is what time work starts. Like, who decided that? And then like people like yourself who do work better at later hours, it almost feels like disadvantaged that you're then being forced to go into this different time zone. So makes me feel sad.
Well, It's good to hear the support there for the people that struggle with it. It's preached, isn't it, on all the motivational videos, all the big successful businessmen. You don't hear about them starting their job at 10 a.m., 12. They all get up at 4 a.m., 3 a.m., whatever. It's not needed for success. It's advantageous because absolutely, if you can work long hours, then you're gonna have extra hours. And of course, there's
you do work long hours though. I don't want that to come across as though you don't.
Thing.
It's not like you get up at
that's
10 and only work until 5. You don't.
That's true. A lot of the time, I work more than an 8-hour day. I sort of, on average, would probably work more like a 10-hour day. So I do work, at least 2 hours on average more than most people, each day. So I don't believe in this hype of having to get up early, because if you're still spending the same amount of time and doing the same things in the day, then what difference is it? Yeah. So I don't really believe in all that hype of having to, you've got to get up early and you've got to you got to say all your affirmations in the mirror, and you've got to do this and you've got to do that. You got to exercise every day. I mean, it's just a lot of things are forced on you as these are the ways to success, but there are many ways to success, and it's about finding your unique way. And there are things that are preached in there that are helpful. Fitness is absolutely important. Getting up early does help, but it might not work for you. And positive affirmations, I know they can be positive as well, but I did it for a period of my life, and then I just felt it didn't do a right lot for me. I think it did have some impact at that moment in life, but I don't really see much value in it at this point. I know some people would argue that, but at the end of the day, I found my success. I'm not trying to be famous. I'm not trying to be a millionaire, but I'm happy with where I am now. I mean, we lived the dream life.
Absolutely. Like, how many people I've said to you, like, constantly people saying to me, "Oh, I'm so jealous. Like, I wish I could be doing what you're doing." And this is all I've ever wanted, is to travel the world and be able to work remotely and make that happen. And like, yes, sacrifices have got to be made, and certain things need to happen. Like, at the minute I've been working in a school, and that, that's not necessarily what I want to be doing right now, but it's enabling me to then travel again. So like, we're in a very fortunate position, and we, as far as I'm concerned, we've hit the jackpot. Like,
that's it. And I agree. If we really think about it, if we were told someone's going to double your salary tomorrow, we'd be overjoyed. But I don't know.
Double or nothing's nothing, so I'll be fine.
Double or nothing. Don't be saying that.
I'm kidding.
Don't be saying that. You make lots of money with your teaching, so yeah, don't put yourself down, my darling.
Okay, thank you.
And it's affording you a dream life, so you can't possibly be doing the amount of traveling and experiences and events that we do with zero.
Yes.
But if we were told tomorrow, to double our salaries, I don't know what else we'd be doing. Like, it would be great, and we would do some additional, absolutely, what would I do? Okay, I would invest. I would go buy a property straight away, and I would start renting it out. It's something I will eventually do, but it would speed that process up. Maybe we would get nicer accommodations at places. To be fair, the accommodations we get are really nice.
Yeah. And
they're also a reasonable price, because Airbnbs and apartments you can get for reasonable prices around everywhere, and they're really nice. So I just don't know what additional value it'd bring than just we'll just be able to get some nicer things at moments, and I don't think we could physically do anything more.
Yeah, and I feel like it would just kind of be, like people say, you always live within your means, don't you? And you hear about, I don't know, not to name names, but like Katie Price going bankrupt and things like that. And you think, how does someone? I mean, maybe that's a bad example because I'm not 100% sure if she has, but when you hear about celebrities that had loads of money and then suddenly they're on the breadline and they've got no money whatsoever, and you think, how have you managed to do that? And it's because people just live within their means, don't they? They think, because I've now got this Rolex salary, I'm going to go and buy a Rolex. but then you don't have the Rolex salary anymore. You've got you got the thing. And yeah, people just living within the means, then you end up with no money, don't you? So like, the rich stay rich by living like the poor, you find that sometimes rich people can be quite tight. That's because they're sensible with the money, and that's how they stay rich, because they're not necessarily going out and buying the flashiest car or the latest iPhone or whatever it is. And yeah, I think it's just about prioritizing our experiences over things, isn't it? Like our finances, it's an investment in our happiness. The things that we do is all, exactly what we want to do. We're not going and staying in like 5-star all-inclusive hotels, because that doesn't interest us. Like, we want to experience the culture of the place, and so I think naturally our interests are aligned with like not spending as much on travel.
I totally agree. I would have no interest in going into Hiltons everywhere. I just couldn't think of anything worse.
Other named brands are available. Bearing in mind I have friends that work for the Hilton.
Well, other names as well. No, I just an example, because they're everywhere and it's a posh hotel. But you're totally right. It would take us from the experience. We like that raw experience. We love having our own apartment. Living in a hotel for an extended period of time is depressing. And I'm not taking that back.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, I was just in Dubai for my my eldest sister's getting married, and her partner had a stag do in Dubai. So I was there for 2 weeks, 5 days for the stag, and then a few days to see my friend who's just moved back out there. And it was great. But between sort of the stag and seeing my... when I wasn't at the stag, where we were all in the same accommodation, I was at the hotel by myself. It was like a 5-day and a 4-day stint by myself. It's so depressing. After like 2 days, first night, it's nice. You just watch a bunch of films. It's cool. But after like 2 days, it's just the most depressing room. And I think it's even more depressing than the studio, because the studio, you at least have a kitchen. You could have a balcony. You could have a pool that's shared. There's a lot more in a studio apartment that can feel a bit more free. Whereas a hotel is just so depressing to just be, you are just living, breathing in one room, and you're beholden to what the hotel can provide you. The cost of everything's increased. Anything they can provide you is increased. Oh, would you like a taxi, sir? Oh, no problem. That's £100 for a 30-minute ride, or get an Uber for 20 quid, thanks. Like, what value are you bringing me? Oh, we've got a pool, but you have to pay for an additional pass to the spa. Well, I've got a pool at my apartment. Oh, you've got restaurants. We've got 6 restaurants, but it's a minimum, spend of £60 a head. Oh, well, I'd rather just go to a nice Thai restaurant down the road, which is like 15 quid. I get the best meal ever. Yeah. Like, it's just, I don't know it wouldn't bring us value, would it?
No, and I think there's that awkwardness of, like, in a lot of these fancy restaurants as well, not just in the States, but, like, there's always people are there and they're like falling over to help you, but it's with an expectation of a tip as well. Like carrying your bags. I'm like, just let go of my bags. I can carry them, but thank you. Yeah, and just all of that, like that, like is everything that you've just described. Those elevator prices on everything, and yeah, just it's unnecessary. I'd so rather do it. There's one exception to that I would say, and that's when we were in Pista near Chichen Itza. Because
fucking God.
we stayed in an Airbnb where, and it wasn't their fault, bless them. The Airbnb itself, absolutely fine. Like, it got a really nice cenote pool and everything that lit up into it.
It was like the price we paid. It was, we usually go for, we go for cheap, but we're really good at searching enough where we go, affordable, a little bit over it, and we'll always get a very comfortable place, way cheaper than a hotel. This place we went cheap, and it did match the price. It wasn't messy or dirty, but it was
very basic.
It was very basic,
yeah, like, and kind of exposed to the elements as well. Like, there's a massive moth in there.
I freaked out.
Yeah, and we did. I think there was a mini fridge though, and there was a fan and maybe aircon. I think there was aircon.
Yeah, there was aircon.
But in the middle of the night, there was a power cut. And so obviously the aircon went off and it was like 1,000,000 degrees in there. Like all mozzies and everything, weren't it? It was like unbearable. But just down the road, there was a hotel that was unaffected by the power cut. And we ended up going there for food every day. And that's the one time that I thought I wish we were in this hotel rather than our accommodation. But that's, I think, to be expected when you're in the middle of nowhere and you've got no aircon and it's full of bugs.
Yeah, I would agree that would have been nice, and it's because Chichen Itza, one of the wonders of the world, it's in a town that, you know, Chichen Itza is the big touristy attraction, but the town is, there's nothing really going on. It's a very, very quiet town. So yeah, it was pretty interesting experience. That was the first time I got bitten on my cock.
By an insect, boy.
By an insect, yes, that's true, yes. Yeah. Yeah, it was because there was no aircon, you know, just, I mean, it got to a point where we had to just strip down, and because we always wear, we've played some mozzies, we take, you know, we have pajamas, Bamboo's really good at fending off mozzies, and we have long sleeve pajamas to, you know, socks, everything to cover you up, otherwise you'll just get bitten. But it got so hot I have to just strip down, no quilt, no nothing, just got devoured. My cock got devoured. It was not pleasant. And the moth incident in the start, I refused to go in the place. I don't do things that fly. I just don't. If it flies, because it can, I think because it can just come into your personal space unannounced. Whereas things that crawl and move, you know, and you can sort of keep an eye on them. But things that fly are so they just go spastic. So it really makes me unnerved. So Shelby has put her big boots on and got, honestly, a moth the size of a crow.
It wasn't the size of a crow.
It was, baby.
It was, what can I compare it to? What was it? Maybe the size of a robin. I'll give you that.
It was a crow.
It wasn't a crow, but it was a big moth.
I don't know how he got it out.
I think, did we have like some sort of like a tissue box or something? I can't remember. There was some.
Oh, you captured it, did you?
I think so. Or even wafted. Like something's in my mind that in the bathroom it was like an open roof or something even. So like to just like waft it. I can't fully remember how we got it out, but we did eventually.
Yeah, not fond of that, but it was a Chichen Itza was awesome.
Yeah. It was great.
But,
we spent a lot longer there than I first thought we would, because I just felt like we needed it.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, that, isn't it? I think we were there nearly like 6 hours, but I enjoyed every minute of it.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
I didn't want to go. I wasn't bored at any point. I loved it, and for, you know, it is ruins, and you know, we find history really fun, but ruins can get a bit ruiny after a while. But it was just so interesting. We were just so, yeah, it was great. I highly recommend. And there's a huge cenote in there. That's really cool to go see. It's a bit of a walk down, but it's worth the walk. It's a really cool cenote. It's massive. It's like a big cavern. Really cool to see. And there's guys selling stuff everywhere. Don't ignore them. Surprisingly, some of the guys' shops, they sell some cool, really impressive stuff.
Yeah. I got some beautiful stone coasters for my mum, didn't I? That
You
had like
did.
the Mayan calendar on them.
They were really nice.
Yeah.
And they were hand carved.
Yeah.
And I got a wrestling mask.
You did get a wrestling mask.
And it's upstairs, and it's so well stitched. I go back and feel it every night. It's such good quality. It's not cheap, and he gave it me, I think, for a reasonable price.
Yeah, I feel like, was it something like $10?
Something like $10, yeah, but it was great quality. Yeah, but they were saying $1, weren't they?
Oh yes, everything $1. Like, no, not this.
Yeah, so to get you as you walk past, they'd go $1, and then yeah, you'd walk in and they'd be like, oh yeah, well, it's not actually $1, but now you're here, let's try selling something. But I always admire the tactics. I'm fine with the tactics as long as they're not in your face about it.
Yeah, well, in Jamaica, did I tell you about the guy? So I needed the toilet. It was on a cruise ship, and my friend who I was on the cruise with was heading back to the ship, and I was like, okay, I'll just meet you at the bottom, like where the shuttle would take us to it. I'm just going to run to the toilet. So I went to the loo, came out, and then I asked someone for directions. It's like, oh, yeah, I'll show you, because people in Jamaica are super nice. Like, it felt safe. That's maybe naive of me. I don't know how safe it actually is, but it felt safe. And he's like, yeah, sure, I'll show you where the boat is. He took me via his shop Meanwhile, he's asked me what my name is, and because, like, you know, innocent me at 21, whatever age I was, it's like, oh, Shelby. And he's like, Shelby, okay. This is my shop. You want to buy anything? And I was like, no, I'm alright. Thank you. Don't buy anything. And he's like, oh, no, come and have a look. Have a look. And then he carved my name on something.
Oh,
so he
crap.
Yeah, it's on my dad's mantle. You can see it.
Oh, you bought it?
because at the time I was very single, and he said, who's the special man in your life? I was like, I don't have a man in my life. He's like, you must have a special man in your life. I was like, only my dad. What's his name? Michael. Next minute, Michael's carved on the other one.
Oh, that's
so
hilarious.
it's like this man and this woman. They're probably like blooming fertility statues.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I guess I'm buying these now.
That's so funny. He got you.
Yeah. So they're on my dad's like, yeah, mantelpiece.
Oh, I need to see it now. That's great.
Yeah.
That's so fun. Yeah, the tactics are admirable, aren't they? But they can be quite aggressive. Because if you say no, maybe you would have got a bit pissed. Or maybe you wouldn't have cared.
No, I don't think he would have cared. Like, where were we? You know, like in Dubai when, like, people would try and get you to pay for stuff, and then, like, no, you're alright, and then they just let you do it for free anyway. Do you remember the camel?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So there's a camel, and then there was, like, I don't know if it was police or just security for the area.
I'll be honest, I think that was just security trying to get some money off us. Because it wasn't a ticketed thing. It was cordoned off. There was a camel there that was just, you know, cordoned off. But it was in its place, and then that area was cordoned off, and we were, like, looking at it, and what looked like the security guard said, oh, yeah, just pay me some money. And then
it was something like £3, like whatever.
Yeah, it was fine. And then we said no. He went, just go.
Because we didn't have any cash.
So it wasn't like a shop or like an experience. I just think that was a security guard trying to get a bit of money off us. But
But yeah, I think like in Jamaica and same as in Indonesia, I think like that because like they're just such friendly people. Obviously, they try to make a sale, but I don't think they'd be arsy if you didn't buy something. Maybe once he carved my name in it, I don't know. But that's his fault, not mine.
Maybe once you said Michael. If you said Michael, that looks nice, but I don't want it then.
Yeah.
But yeah, fair. It's interesting you say Indonesia because I actually found my worst experience was in Indonesia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was coming from the Gili Islands, which is a wonderful place. Give them a look. And we got off the boat. Do you remember it?
You're going to have to say a bit more because no, I don't right now.
So when we got back from Gili, so we went to Gili for the weekend, came back to Bali, got off the boat, and there was about 25 guys, and you couldn't even get off the boat. They were like, your foot was halfway off the boat, and they had leaflets in your face. They were like, I'm surprised the workers didn't like push them off. They were like leaning into, like popping their heads into the boat, and they were just so aggressive because they wanted to offer their taxi service.
Yes.
But it was like, it wasn't like, taxi. It was so aggressive. I'd never seen it, how aggressive it could get. And they just would not leave us alone. And they just circled us. And like 3, 4, 5 of them just taxi, leave it. I was like, no, taxi. But they just followed us. And they just followed us down the entire dock. And they were like trying to take our numbers. They were like, but they wouldn't leave us. Like, if it was one, you'd be like, it wouldn't have been as a bad experience. But there was like 5 or 10 people just following us, like just shouting at us and throwing leaflets in our faces and grabbing us and grabbing our shoulders. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, the taxis are pretty aggressive. That's true. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, not pleasant.
Yeah, that particular experience I found quite irritating.
Yeah, and actually, maybe I shouldn't have included Indonesia because, like, I can remember it used to bug me when I went there on my own. Every single person, every person who wants to sell you something is like, first time in Bali, and like, and again, like my first time, I was like, yes, it's wonderful, and then like you need to say no, I come all the time, and then they'll maybe leave you alone.
Yeah.
But yeah, they'll walk with you like, what are you doing today? What have you seen so far? Have you been to Tanalot? Have you been to Canggu? Have you been to Ubud? Yeah, they start asking you like questions to try and get you in conversation. They're like, have you been to my shop? Will be the next question. So yeah,
but that's the worst.
Can be pretty hard to.
that's the worst bit, though, isn't it? Going back to what you started it with the hotel, it's that you can see through it within a couple of seconds. And that's the worst thing about it, is that years ago, when people were less travelled, that worked. You know, when people were well less travelled, they went to these exotic countries, people would have fallen for that every single time. Now people are much more well travelled, and these tactics just don't work. This false sort of engaging of conversation, everyone knows. You don't even, to be honest, even people who don't travel enough now know just through conversation now. People are too aware, so now it's just so false, and it's infuriating. And I think, you know, going back to the hotel, is you have that feeling. Some hotel in Dubai, to be fair, they do not make you feel like that. In Dubai, they're just genuine. They want to help you in every way. But in more exotic, you know, around like Asia and that, you're going to get it a lot. South America and, you know, a lot of countries, you're going to get it. I think that's what I have a problem with.
Yeah. It can definitely dampen the travel experience when you kind of just want to walk and not be sold to. But you can't blame them for trying, I suppose. But yeah, I like it.
Well, yeah, you can't really get angry at them for trying, because they, you know, a lot of the case they're struggling for money. In the sad cases, they live on the streets, and it is sad. It is really sad. Like, I was just in Dubai, went to Global Village, which is super cool. It's worth a visit. Very impressive. The build of it, the environment of the build. If you into your Disney theme parks, Universals, you will be impressed by the build of it. It's like a theme park, and it's just a bunch of countries, and in each country, it's all well themed, and it sells local stuff, clothes, food, anything you can think of, gadgets, toys, whatever's known for that country. So for Yemen, it was a lot of honey. I didn't know Yemen was known for honey, but there was loads of honey. And there was a lot of nuts and a lot of what do you call it, like herbs, and you know when they have the big sacks, like loads of spices. Whereas when you went to America, it was just like all junk food and like shoe shops, but in there you get like really cool. You get not your sort of standard. What's the word? You get more rare items in there, because obviously you're in Dubai. You now access, you know, the appeal of it is, yes, the other countries, but they've also, these vendors have gotten quite unique items, so you can find quite cool shoes and quite cool items.
Yeah, they had like rare prime bottles, I think, didn't they?
They did, and I went to the exact same shop. I recognised my plan was, because I don't know if you've seen, I've bought some.
No.
Yeah, Dubai has like the best access to rare prime bottles. I don't know what's going on, but I didn't even seek them out. I just went into corner shops, you know, just throughout the weeks there, and they just had them in, but like rare ones. I was like, what the fuck is this doing in here? So I got an Erling Haaland one, which is really cool. He's a famous City footballer. Arguably the best footballer right now.
Oh.
Yeah, he's very good. He's like the highest goal scorer in the Premier League. I got a WWE one, which, you know, is very close to my heart.
Absolutely.
And I got a UFC 300 one. That's probably the more rare one, I guess, because that was attached to a specific event that was on one night. So that makes it a bit more rare, because they're not going to reproduce that. It's just, whereas the other two, they might reproduce and sell that a bit more. So yeah, you can access some pretty cool ones there. But what I was trying to get back is they're pretty sort of quite aggressive on the sell in Global Village as well. But they're a bit more comedic with it. They're a bit more, they're funny. They're a bit more comedic with it. And I was chatting to one of the guys from Yemen, and also that, maybe this is it, I didn't actually realise the people in the countries were actually from them. Kind of like Epcot, right?
Oh, right. I didn't know that either. That's so interesting that they've done it literally like Epcot.
Yeah, I was chatting to him there. I was like, where are you from? He went, Yemen. I was like, oh, shit, fair enough. I was chatting to him. He said, yeah, what we do is we come over here for 6 months, and we you know, we're in Global Village, we make money, and then we go home for 6 months.
And then did you say, do you really? And he went, yeah, man.
Yeah, man. There we go. I think that would have. Yeah, that would have.
And then he went over to the next place. He went, "Oh man."
Oh man. We can't go to Yemen on our Middle East trip.
For a lot of reasons.
For a lot of reasons, that being one, yes. No, that could have been funny, actually.
We've been to Abu Dhabi.
Oh, God, here we go.
No.
Go on.
Well, no, it's just...
Go on.
The Flintstones, they're not as fond of Dubai as they are of Abu Dhabi, do?
I like that one.
Thank you.
Abu Dhabi's a good place.
Abu Dhabi's great. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to us going back to the UAE next year. I know you've literally just been, but I'm looking forward to our return to Dubai.
It's a repeatable place. It's, if you've not been, I highly recommend it. It's lots of entertainment there. The people are lovely. The hospitality's great. The beaches are excellent. The beach clubs and the clubs, whilst very expensive, they're very cool. It's just a great place. And also this experience, this time round, I found I sort of saw the feel of how it would be like to live there, because my friend moved from Manchester, so his family. Well, actually, I learned his family aren't even from Rami. Aren't even from. That's his name, Rami. I don't know why I just said that. Aren't from Dubai. I learned that his dad's Iranian, his mum's Afghan, and then his eldest brother was born in Wales, and he was born in Chesterfield. I was like, what a mix of nationalities, and they've lived in Dubai most of their life. Like, I was like, what? I thought you were all from Dubai. I've known this guy for like 12 years. I'm so confused. He was like, yeah, it's pretty confusing. But no, that I love those guys. I love this family, and but no, Dubai is very livable. And I learned that 85% of the population of the UAE are expats. No, sorry, of Dubai are expats, which is just blows my mind.
Yeah, that is pretty mad. Which I suppose you hear all the time of people moving there, don't you? And I guess the population is so big now that you can imagine that there's lots of people from all over living there. I wonder what part of the world has the highest percentage of expats, because that seems pretty high. I think that'd be hard to beat.
I think that'll be the highest.
Shall we find out?
We can give it a go. You would have to carry on the conversation, though.
Well, I'll absolutely carry on the conversation. So something that is maybe a little bit interesting is the fact that we departed ways, but not at an airport, didn't we, my darling? Because often when we're travelling, if we ever have to separate, then usually we'll book a flight on the same day, or like around the same time, for saying goodbye to each other. And this time we were in Germany and Scott was flying on to Poland. You mentioned that it was at a stag do in Dubai, but it was in a stag do in Poland right before that. And when we were leaving Germany, Scott had a much earlier flight than me this time, so he went to the airport on his own, which was very sad. We had a nice morning walk though, didn't we? Do you remember? I walked you to the train station in Vestling. Yes,
I do. I was shocked you were going to do that as well, because it was quite maybe 6 a.m. or something, and this train was unpredictable, and also we were in a very nice accommodation, but it was in a small village, and the walk was a 20-minute walk, which is fine, but it wasn't lit up for like 12 minutes of it, maybe even more than that. It was just like in the sticks, so it was just pitch black, wasn't it?
Yeah, but then like the sun was rising as we were walking, so I thought it was really nice. And then like when I was walking back, I saw a deer in the field, which was beautiful, wow. And like the sun was rising. But yeah, we're used to saying, well, we're either used to flying home together, or we're used to saying goodbye in the airport.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I think the airport goodbyes are the hardest goodbyes.
Yeah, that just feels sadder, yeah.
And I think there's just so much emotion behind it. I think because there's like, you know, the anticipation of the journey. There's the, you know, just the goodbye itself. But I actually found out just recently, Wellington Airport in New Zealand has limited goodbye hugs to 3 minutes. So they've put a timer on how long you can say goodbye to your loved one. And that time is 3 minutes. I'm not sure how they're policing it.
What?
But yeah, I don't know how I feel about that because I think our goodbyes are significantly longer than that.
As in, when you say they're limiting it, as in if you're late for the flight, or just like if you're just in any area of the airport?
I think it's in like the drop-off zone, maybe.
Okay. Okay, so I can get how they can... Okay. So you literally drop them off in like a car, yeah.
Yeah, and you're only allowed 3 minutes to say goodbye.
That is quite sad. But I feel like that might be some smart marketing because it's probably just like you only allowed your car in the drop-off zone for 3 minutes, probably.
Maybe.
But the story sounds better.
It does. Yeah. I can investigate and get back.
No, it's interesting. Where did you find this out?
It was on the radio.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah. It's but yeah, it's sad, isn't it? Yeah, we'd take about 10 minutes. It'd take about 10 minutes. If it was up to us, we'd be shagging there.
Well, I can remember when we were in Mexico and you were going to Costa Rica and I was going home.
That was the saddest goodbye we've ever done in our lives.
That was outrageous because we'd barely slept the night before either.
Yeah.
I think we were waking till like 3 a.m. and then had to be up at 6. And then I watched your plane leave and like something was so sad. But then there was this couple that were on my flight and they were hugging and I was so depressed. I was like, why do you get your boyfriend and mine's on a different plane?
Yeah.
I was so upset.
And we actually went in opposite ways.
Yeah.
Like we went further away from each other.
Yeah, it's super sad.
Yeah, that's the saddest goodbye I've had to say.
Mm-hmm.
That was really sad.
I remember what I was wearing and everything. Like it's yeah.
Did we take a photo of our set? We must have done.
I don't think so.
We should put that up just as a memory of how much we love each other.
Okay. I'll search through my phone. I'll be able to find the date.
Yeah. Well, I've looked up the UAE piece, coming back to the expats. I said which country has the most expats, and asked it in ChatGPT, which Shelby is starting to dislike day by day, but I've decided that ChatGPT, I am today accepting a religion, and that is AI, and ChatGPT is my Bible. So anything it says, I believe. It's searched 6 websites, so it's totally accurate. It says, as of 2024, in the United Arab Emirates, has the highest number of expatriates, largely due to its business-friendly environment, tax benefits, and strong demand for international labour in sectors like finance, technology, and construction. Yes, yeah. It's pretty impressive. And also nationals can drive there as well. You just convert your driving licence. Which is
but you've really got to convert your driving licence because I've heard that you can get arrested if you don't.
Oh, yeah, you have to convert it. You can't just do it with the UK. Absolutely, yeah. But you don't have to do any additional tests or anything.
That's handy. Is it the same side of the road? I can't even remember.
Let me think.
Do you remember where the taxi driver
No,
was
it's the opposite. Yeah, it's the opposite. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Apparently other communities with large expats is United States, Saudi Arabia, and Germany. Interesting about Saudi Arabia is the more conversation I had with people in Dubai was they were saying Saudi Arabia is like less than 10 years away from being just like Dubai. If that. It's already built up and very buzzing, but in regards to what they meant, that in regards to how they're approaching enforcement of their law and their values. Dubai has the enforcement, but it's as long as you're not an idiot, you're totally fine. Just don't be an idiot. It's common. It's a lot of traveling, to be honest. It's just common sense. There's no country we've been in that, if you don't use common sense, as long as you're using common sense, you're fine. Yes, you have to be wary of some little things that can catch you, like CBD oil. That's a sly one. If you use CBD oil for anxiety, be very careful of that. There are some countries that look at that as highly as marijuana, and therefore you can be prosecuted at the same level. So that's like a sly one that could get you, which is something, if you don't know, you just don't know. Other from that, I'm sure there might be some other sly ones, but I've just found it's just common sense.
Yeah, the only thing that's come to my mind is, and this isn't even like a necessarily serious thing, although it could screw you over a bit, is the international driving permit if you go into a country that requires it. Because I think it was just totally by chance that we realised that we needed that for Japan.
I was actually sent a website from my boss the other day. He shot me a website because we both travel a lot, and he said, "Hey, check this out. It's really easy to get a quick driving permit on."
Oh.
Upside, it has lots of countries. Downside, it did not have Japan in there.
Well, yeah, but we've got one now.
No, I know we have one for Japan, but I'm just letting the people know that out there.
Let the people know that's kind.
That I can even quickly try find the address for you. But he said it worked great for him. But I thought, great, let's see if Japan's in here, and it was not. Yeah, it was. Let me tell you the URL. It's internationaldriversassociation.com. It looks like. Yeah, International Drivers Association. And it's got a bunch of countries on there where you can do a quick international driving permit.
Very good.
So that's useful if you've forgotten it at home, because we had quite a palaver, didn't we?
We did. I think we've spoken about it before. So.
Yeah, spoken about it.
Short version is we had to send things back home and have things sent out to us to Thailand.
We did. Oh goodness. One thing I didn't touch on, I know we're off the topic now, is at the start, but one story I do want to say about early mornings, just because it's an interesting insight into how determined I was to change that in my life. You know this. I invested in a cattle prod, a real life cattle prod, no sort of baby cattle prod, one you would use on cattle. Gave it to my brother, and he always got up early. I think it was for college at the time. And I said, look, here's the time I want to be up. If I'm not up at this time, you have free reign with this cattle prod. No problem. And it worked. He would come flying in my room with the cattle prod with the biggest smile on his face, ready to cattle prod me. And I would, the first time I didn't get up, and he just started, what he did is he started like going like he like over the quilt to me, like, and you could hear it. It was like a high pitched and it was so frightening. And he would like, go over the quilt initially. I'll go, fuck off. And then he would just pull the quilt up and he was like, ready. And I just shot straight out of bed. And yeah, it worked for some time until I captured the cattle prod and hit it. So, yeah. So there we go. Determined, but did not work. But I know we've had quite an interesting conversation today, about all sorts. Yes. So I want to tell you about an interesting thing I learned from a podcast recently, which pissed me off. So we all know the Wheel of Death. Everyone knows what that means when I say that, the Wheel of Death. But I've learned, and I fact-checked this, that the Wheel of Death is actually false. It's not needed. Basically, when they, when they're introducing, the internet and introducing, running surveys, running things that had to process information, whether it's calculations online, they did an A/B test to understand, what a user perception of that result was when they gave them the results instantly versus, adding a wheel as if it's, thinking, trying to figure out, all the calculations, all the information you've input into the page, and then provided the information. They found that the times where they introduced this Wheel of Death, that people trusted the credibility of and found the information more credible. Whereas when the Wheel of Death wasn't introduced, they didn't feel like it was credible, and they didn't think the information that was provided to them, whether it's on a search engine, through some calculation, whatever they're inputting online, was not credible. So they didn't believe it. So the introduction of the Wheel of Death, and I'm going to keep calling that because it is that, has become a subtle psychological trick to maintain the user confidence in the results. So it's not even needed. So it's pretty ridiculous. So it's, yeah, and that annoys me that it's not even needed. What do you think?
I'm trying to think. I feel like there's something else that's like that. It's a bit like when you say in a minute to a kid, when you don't actually mean in a minute, but if you've acknowledged that they're waiting. So I think it's useful on the basis that like it's acknowledged that you've clicked a thing. You know, if you just clicked and nothing happened, I'm like, does it even know that I've clicked it? But if you click and then a little wheel appears, then at least you know that it's been acknowledged.
But what I'm saying is that it's not needed. It can process it instantly. So what I'm saying is that there's no need for that pause. So when you press the next button, it has, in a lot of the cases, it has the ability to process you to the next page like that. But what's happening is it's putting a wheel for like a second.
So it's delaying your...
It's delaying you.
Well, that's silly.
That's the killer.
So it's not just like... Because, you know, sometimes when it takes a web page a minute to load... Then
yes. It's delaying you. Now, I think when I've done my research on it, it said that this is true. Now, if I think of my experience in business and working with large data models and within large CRM systems, I know processing large consumption of data, it can take longer for systems to work. So I don't believe it's true of every situation, but of situations like, you know, filling in forms, loading up websites. Yes, you can argue with websites as SEO optimizations, but in short, for the most part, it is that Wheel of Death is very false. Mm-hmm. I think there are some cases where it's not, but for the most part, that Wheel of Death is false. So even if we took that out of all the false areas, I mean, for me, it'd make me much happier. Because the thing that I get most annoyed throughout the day, my weekday, is probably my laptop. And my laptop, I recently got a new one, and I'm effing thankful because my last one was so bad. I hate MacBooks. I'm saying it. I hate MacBooks.
Well, I love my MacBook.
I hate MacBooks. As we record this on a MacBook.
Don't say that, it'll delete everything.
Oh my god, that'd be awful. But that's my 2 cents. I
think your feeling for MacBooks is like my feeling for iPhones. Like, I've got such contempt for iPhone. I think that Macs are great. I love my MacBook. I love other Apple software. I love the is it UI?
Yes.
But iPhones, no, absolutely not. I would never, ever go back to an iPhone. Ever.
It surprised me because...
I'd have a 3310 before I'd have an iPhone.
But you're a lover of MacBooks, so how come you wouldn't... That means you would probably take to an iPhone quite easily.
I've had iPhones in the past.
Yeah.
But I just think that the Google phone is so superior in every capacity. Like... So I've got the Google Pixel 6 now, which is a pretty old phone, but I think it's fantastic. The camera's great. Everything's uploaded to... like, the Gmail, I think the link into Gmail is just so convenient. And just when I had an iPhone, battery life, for one, like, not to be stereotypical, but, you know, like, I know that's the first thing that any Android user would say, that the battery life is much better on an Android than it is an iPhone. But it's true. And... I just used to break it. Like, I feel like you've had an issue with your latest system update. I feel like this. I don't update my laptop either, which is probably why they last so long. Like, I had my last. I just got this one for Christmas last year, so I've had it 1 year now. But the one before that was a 2017 laptop, so like they last a good long time, in my opinion, compared to like the lifespan of an iPhone.
No, to be fair, this iPhone I have has had an
You've had that a
outstanding
long time,
life.
to be
I think
fair.
I've had it for 7 years.
But it's had many issues.
In recent times, it's had issues. But it's all down to updates.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
Yeah,
updates are killer.
I think because Apple did get taken to court for this, and they admitted that their updates had things in them that would slow down old devices, but they've since said that that's been taken out, which I think is false. Because my phone has just got slower and slower. But look, I'm gonna be moving over to Google any minute. I mean, I said at the start of the year I want to get a new phone. This is just getting slower and slower by the day. And when I reviewed all the phones out there, Google was superior. I had a funny week where I got to experience Shelby's phone.
Oh, it was the worst week ever. So we swapped phones. Well, I mean, one good thing came out of it. I got your dad's number. So
Hey up.
no, so I could contact him about your secret birthday message that you now know about. Because I don't know why it ended up connecting to... It must have phoned me on, like, iMessage or something. I don't know. But for whatever reason, it came through to your phone rather than my phone, even though it rang your number. And it got my SIM card in it. I don't know.
Strange.
Anyhow. But yeah, we swapped phones for a week, and Scott learned how good a Google phone is, and I learned how much I will never, ever, ever, ever again have an iPhone.
Fair enough. Well, yeah, I look forward to my Google phone. I waited for the Pixel 9, which has now come out. I've looked into it, I've reviewed it, and it looks great. What's interesting is the Pixel 8 and the Pixel 8 Pro, there was quite a significant difference between the value of they were providing. Whereas the Pixel 9 and Pixel Pro, there's marginal difference. So it's great because now I can pay the less premium cost and actually get all the value.
Brilliant.
So it's worked out really nice.
Very nice. Look forward to you getting it.
I'm waiting for Black Friday.
Yes.
I will get Black Friday, and I will. I can't wait. We'll be Google buddies.
We will be Google buddies. How exciting!
Do we get to send messages for free to each other?
Yeah, WhatsApp. Like, what do you mean?
Oh yeah, WhatsApp.
Or text
No, I mean
messages.
like.
Or Facebook Messenger. Like any of the free ways of sending messages.
You know what? Shelby's so funny, isn't she?
We could even phone each
No,
other.
I mean like iMessage, yeah. Like iMessage.
What even is iMessage? Like why
You can text iPhone users for free.
Yeah, but you can text anyone for free. I don't understand. All it is a different colour bubble, and they've this is what they've done, they've conned you into thinking that's a benefit. You can text anyone for free. You've got text included in your plan.
I need to leave iPhone, don't I? I need to leave I need to leave iPhone. I think you should leave this MacBook as well. We should just go fully into Google or other areas.
If to be fair, I've had a Google Chromebook before and it was very good.
Was it?
Yeah. It was like 150 quid and it was great.
I feel like it'd be too much like an iPad.
No, my dad's got it. You can, when you go and look at his stuff on his mantelpiece, you can look at it.
Oh yeah, I look forward to seeing that. Well, what a good episode! And we winged this entire episode.
We did, and I think it's the best one yet.
Oh, well, there we go. Well, we should listen back, and you know what? Hey, maybe we wing more. Yeah. I think we find the fine line, right? I don't go as crazy with the formatting, but we still add just 3 or 4 main talking about just so it can re-jog our memories. Yeah. But I think we did very well.
Me too.
I think it flowed nice.
Hopefully the listener enjoyed it.
Hopefully.
No, it's how I said singular.
No, listeners. Hey, we have multiple listeners.
We do.
And a lot are in America, so...
I was going to say Guten Tag.
I was going to say good day, mate. So we completely fucked that. How weird is
Howdy.
it? Howdy, mate. Yeah, we have been to America quite a number of times. But anyway, we love you and we look forward to meeting you one day.
Absolutely.
Alrighty. We thank you for taking a break from your day to get balls deep with us. Until next time, remember, stay ballsy.
Dive deep,
but don't forget your snorkel.
Balls deep.